we're here. Holy cow.
Stop blowing up Andy's phone.
Wait, we're 2 minutes late and my phone's going nuts. Why is the show not on?
Oh, man.
We're here, everybody. Man.
That's all right. At least they're paying attention.
That's true. And, we got a popular guest on tonight, I guess. So everybody's looking to talk with Sean Corr a little bit later here, partner. But, hey, welcome to the happy hour. Andy Crane, Gary Predmore here once again for another hour of motorsports media, madness, I guess we'll say. I don't know.
Fun's
so what's going on, partner?
Oh, man, this is it. It's working. Trying to get the race car together slowly. It's so damn cold in the garage, but we'll get there.
Listen, the worst time I think ever for like the oil heater to go out was like these last couple days, and the oil heater went out. So me and Jen had to snuggle up a little bit to get it through the nights here. But the heat's back on, and I'm looking over at the fire now, which is nice, warm, and toasty.
That's nice.
Which is nice. As mentioned, we got a big guest tonight. Came off a fantastic career best finish at the Daytona International Speedway in the ARCA 200. We'll talk to Sean Corr. A lot to talk to Sean about, as he's had, I don't want to say a unique career, but his path, I think, for Northeast racing has been kind of unique. The Frank Sinatra song, "He Did It My Way," kind of keeps popping into my head. So we're going to talk to him about that. Also, what else is he up to for 2023? He always has kind of some interesting things going on. He's always pulling some enduro car or something out of the weeds somewhere to get ready to go race. So we'll talk to Sean all about that. And he's engaged fairly recently, I think. Recently. I know he's engaged. We'll go with that.
On the racetrack. He popped that on the racetrack.
Listen, and his fiance Roxy is a racer.
And listen, he was a sport about it too, because if I remember, the track was all mudded up, and he got that on one knee. He was good
as he should. As he should. Well, partner, before we bring Sean on, let's talk a little bit of NASCAR racing going on out on the left coast in California. The last race at the California Speedway before the refigure. Kind of disappointing, because you see how good the racing was, that they're going to refigure it and make it a short track. I guess kind of the questions are kind of starting to come out of why it's getting refigured, because a lot of property was sold to some land developer. Yep. So there's always a story within a story, and it's usually follow the money. But
listen, I don't have a problem with it. I mean, they sold the land, but they kept the racetrack. So
that's true. They kind of kept the racetrack.
They kind of kept it. I mean, it's going to shrink up, but they made billions of dollars off the land, and then they're still going to lease out land for parking and stuff. To me, it's a win-win for the track, really.
And listen, it's more short tracks, right? What have race fans been bitching about for how long is let's get more racetracks, short tracks in. So they're getting one. And they're getting one out in an area that they usually don't have short track racing, at least on the big series level out in California. So that's pretty cool. Rain was kind of the big story all weekend. Mother Nature was just wrecking everything. There was snow at one point, but they finally got the racing in with a big doubleheader. Kyle Busch in his second start.
Mr. Washed Up, right?
And listen, that poses the question: was it the equipment at JGR, or was it the driver?
Sabotage.
We could also ask the same question with RCR, because RCR hasn't been on top of their game the last couple of years. Is it the drivers, or is it the equipment at RCR? Because, for what Tyler Reddick did, he won a couple of races, wasn't a, right out of the gate second start win like Kyle Busch did. And listen, love him, hate him, or otherwise, you got to respect the guy. He's a wheelman and can get the job done. He's one of the best race car drivers in the world.
Absolutely.
So to get him in good equipment, you can see. And listen, he could have won the Daytona 500 too. So it's not like he backed into anything.
That's right. Shit luck.
So listen, good for Rowdy. You know, he's going to be in a truck at Las Vegas, which
he might just win Las Vegas as well.
He'll probably. He's really good there.
Good there, absolutely.
He's always really good there. Xfinity racing was also going on. John Hunter Nemechek won. It was a doubleheader. It was a race after. So good for John Hunter, who's kind of resurrected his career, going back down to the Xfinity Series and
a really good car too.
Yep. And that's kind of the name of the game, you know, get into a good, and even on like the local level for us, you look at a driver like Joe Graff Jr., who's, you know, S&S Greenlight, which is now Lefcourt Brothers, something or other, whatever. Jeff Lefcourt's involved somehow, but he's going to get a handful of starts in Joe Gibbs Racing equipment to where, you know, look at what Ryan Preece did. Ryan Preece kind of left a full-time Xfinity ride, the JD Motorsports team, which, listen, top 22 finishing car. Yep. And instead of running the whole season, ran those handful of races with Gibbs, won a couple of them. And listen, he bankrolled pretty darn good for Ryan Preece right now, driving for Tony Stewart and Stuart Haas. And, you know, maybe that could be the same thing. It's definitely working out for John Hunter Nemechek, who's now full-time Xfinity. And who knows, could be same for Joe Graff Jr. At least we hope, fingers crossed, right?
That's right, yeah. No, absolutely. I always say when he's good, there's a few other guys I'd like to see in really good equipment too. Someone like a Corey LaJoy. I love watching him race. Just, you know, and he's there and what he could do. I mean, look at Ross Chastain. Look what he's
doing. I was just about to mention that. Which
same thing.
Breaking news with Ross Chastain too. The reports are coming out. Of course, Kevin Harvick retiring at the end of the year, but it seems like Ross Chastain and the Trackhouse team are in line to get the Anheuser-Busch sponsorship. At least that's the hot rumor right now. So Anheuser-Busch leaving Stuart Haas Racing at the end of the year. Again, none of it confirmed or anything right now. It's just reports, but there's a lot of reports out there for it that, you know, and that Anheuser-Busch sponsorship, you know, Busch Light, you know, going back to Budweiser and all that, that's one of the hot commodity sponsorships that if you get that, you're kind of, you're one of the big dogs that, you know, Missouri's putting their money on. So, you know, Ross Chastain coming from where he was, the Watermelon Man, could be getting a lot of dollar signs here pretty soon.
Absolutely. And the way he's been driving, he deserves it, man. I thought he was going to win this past week. I thought for certain he was going to win.
Well, I think that Trackhouse Racing team is just the NASCAR American dream, we'll say. You know, Justin Marks starting up this team with a couple investors, a couple of race cars, put a couple good race car drivers in it. They weren't the top of the top. And, you know, Ross has definitely proven himself to be a great race car driver. Daniel Suarez, I think, is a good race car driver. Say what you want about him, but I think he's a good race car driver. You know, so and they're doing great things. Trackhouse Racing could win a championship.
Oh, yeah. No, clearly. Absolutely.
There's no doubt that could be. So to see a corporation like Anheuser-Busch to get behind that team now, that's a big deal. That's putting them on the map saying, yeah, we're here for real. We're here to play.
Absolutely.
Which is awesome stuff. Touch on real quick, since it's just kind of in the news. The NHRA going to start up not this weekend, but next weekend. They kind of flip their schedule around a little bit. They usually start out in California. They're starting in Gainesville for the Gator Nationals this year. And we're actually talking to a couple drivers right now. We're just waiting for confirmation to get some drag racers on next week, talk all about the Gator Nationals. And listen, if you're a race fan, you should love all types of motorsports, whether turn left and right, go straight, or slide sideways on dirt. So check it out. We'll have more information about that during the week.
Tony Stewart's going.
And that I was just about to say that.
Stewart, well, not top fuel, but top alcohol.
That's,
you give him a year, he might be racing.
He will. I almost.
No doubt he will be.
Listen, I almost know, and we'll say possibly from inside information, you'll see Tony Stewart in a top fuel car before the year is over.
Oh yeah,
you get to some of those shows that only have 13 or so cars entered, and you'll see smoke jump in one. But top alcohol is just a little bit. It's like the Busch Series or the Xfinity Series.
The lower blow, yep.
Yeah. So, and listen, Smoke's the kind of guy, if a series kind of does him wrong, he's going to take his ball and go somewhere else.
Yeah.
He's kind of really showing it now. Doing this.
I mean, he's racing for somebody, so it ain't costing him. You know what I mean?
Oh, I'm sure there's a couple dollars
I'm sure it is,
here and there.
It's not his equipment. You know
that is true. That is true. All right, let's. We got a great guest on. He had a great race down in Daytona, topping his prior career best of a 5th place finish in the ARCA 200. He almost got the big W. He was right in the mix at last pack, the last handful of laps, settled on a great 3rd place finish. He's up here with the monster school bus snowplow in the background, ready to go. Let's bring him up. Sean Corr joining the show.
Hey guys, how you doing?
What's up, Sean?
Hey Andy, I haven't seen you since you since you kicked my butt out there at SNS Speedway.
That was a lot of fun. I never do well in my own races out there, and finally we did well enough, and I got to lap Sean Corr. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Hey, gotta give
listen,
too, man.
Listen, Roxanne was doing good too. She was getting the hang of it by the end of it.
Oh yeah, Roxy. I don't know if you were part of it or not, but man, we're never got in the same race. Thank you, because if I wrecked her, or she
well, that's all right. We're going to ask that question in a little bit here, because that's a question I definitely want to ask. But let's talk Daytona. What a run! You started out the week probably the worst possible way in that group qualifying, kind of wrecking the nose off of it. The guys did a great job getting the car back together. Had to start way in the back and came up through the field. So take us through Daytona all the way down right to the run to the checkered flag.
Okay, do we have enough time for this?
Oh yeah, we got all the time you need.
All right, man. It was a very humbling week. I'll tell you that. It was cool we went out for qualifying, and I had seen the 15 car. And when they left, I saw a little white coming out of their tailpipe, and I'm like, maybe it's just maybe just something burning off the exhaust or something. It's white. I'm like, at the worst case, this thing's got a head gasket or something. But the second we hit the bank, and all of a sudden now it turned from white to blue, and like before I could sit there and go, well, that's not good. It was like somebody threw a bucket of oil on my windshield. It literally that quick. And then now I don't know if you guys have ever seen that. What's that movie with the Final Destination kind of stuff? But all of a sudden now, so the oil cooler explodes on the 15 car, the 6 cars in front of her, and I guess they blew a U-joint apart. So their drive shaft literally falls out of the car. And so now they don't have power. The 15's blowing the motor, and they're all now just accordion effecting up. So I see the 15 bumper through the oil in my windshield, like running up in front of me. And I'm like, this isn't going to be good. So I got out of the throttle, and just on the oil, the thing started dancing. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do less damage letting this spin, because if I correct this thing up into the wall, we are putting this thing in the trailer and going home. So I let it spin. I did glance up in my mirror, and I saw the 68 was spinning behind me. I think the 63 was also in our group. They were spinning, and as I was spinning, I got tagged by the 68 and in the left rear quarter. And so we kind of hit the banking. It just ripped the nose almost off the car. And then add insult to injury, we hit the grass, and it just rolled all the skirts of the car up underneath, twisted all the bracketry up. But we kind of got back, and it was like, before I really got in the pit area, I already had Tim McKitchens owns Performance Vehicle Works. They do a lot of bodies down there for the ARCA cars. And he was already like standing in our pit stall with a brand new nose. And he's like, had like a little tackle box of stuff like rivets, impact gun, drill, rivet guns, everything ready to go to help us get the car back together. And I mean, we had Dale Quarterly, the 4 car. He had black vinyl left over. He came over, just drops off rolls of black vinyl, like, anything I do to help, let me know. We got guys who can do vinyl. And so we just started assigning guys on our crew, left rear quarter, fix the crush panels, fix the body brackets. We had Roxy was on duty on the right side skirts, fixing all the bracketry up underneath there. She hammering everything out, bending all the bracketry and fixing the exhaust. Her and Mason had to pull the exhaust back straight because the exhaust actually broke the mounts off underneath the car. So I mean, they were on it. They had that thing fixed up when we had to take some Barabond and actually put it under the car, because it actually, we got tagged, it actually tore the crush panels away from the fenders. And so when I went over to the Cup side to go get some Barabond, I know somebody who works for the Lowe's team for the 34 Michael McDowell car, and he was able to get me a strip of yellow to fix the nose where the yellow stripe was torn up. So that yellow that was on the nose is actually from the 30 leftover vinyl from the 34 Cup car. So it was
it helps because Michael McDowell usually runs pretty good there.
Yeah. So I mean, it was cool. It was humbling just to see that that's what I love about that series. There's just so many. It's just like one big family, that whole garage area. So everybody came out. The 6 car gave us a set of headlight stickers. We were not prepared for that kind of damage. So I mean, the 6 car dropped off the headlight of the ID package for us. I mean, it was just definitely humbling to see the way everybody was like there and ready to pounce on our car and help us out to get it back for the start of the race. And I mean, it's a cool feeling. So that, and after I straightened the car out in the grass and I clicked it back into first gear. Sorry, the dog wants me to throw the tire. All right, calm down. So the when I was coming around, I was
wondering what that grumbling was. I thought it was Gary's stomach.
No, it's my little helper here in the garage. So she's at her.
I was like, Gary skipped dinner or something.
And I was thinking it was you.
Yeah, no.
So Eddie, listen, all craziness just in qualifying. You get into the race, you got to start in the back. You do the Sean Corr thing. You kind of methodically pick your way through. You get up with that lead pack after that pit stop, and then you're ready to rock and roll. Take us through like the last 20 laps.
Well, yeah, I mean, the first like 2 laps, really, I was just kind of, a little hesitant. I was smacked down on the apron like that. You don't know what tweaked. We double checked ball joints. We double checked the tie rods. We checked the toe. We checked the track bar, because when I came back around, kind of felt like I had a little flat after the spin. So, and it didn't have a flat. So, I mean, we were checking anything, the track bar, anything, bent ball joints, knocked the toe out, something. And so the first couple laps there, it was just a matter of, till the first caution, really, it was just a matter to make sure that the car was able to even compete at speed. So, and then after I realized the thing was pretty sporty, it was like, all right, let's see where we can start to go with this. Like you said, just kind of pick and choose, to making moves and running up, and just trying to do everything I could to keep the nose on the car. Because I mean, there's a lot of moving and shuffling, and I was able to really keep the nose and the fenders on the car all day long, right till the end. And those last 20 laps were we had just pitted at lap 40, and so we came back out 28th and just kind of had to move our way back to the field twice. But I mean, we got right up there at the end there, and
I mean, was there a point, Sean, you with the last handful of laps that you thought, hey, I could win this thing?
Yeah, I mean, there was a couple times when that thing was slicing through the field like a hot knife through butter. It was like, you know, if this thing is this sporty, once I get up in the top 10, we really got a shot for this. And it was like we went from 12th to 8th like that, like just in the I'm thinking top 10. That's going to be my mark to see how really to judge how the car was. And when we got up to 8th, like we passed 4 cars to get to 8th, I was like, okay, this thing really has a shot to actually pull this off. And I mean, we led 5 laps this year. But I mean, when we got right back up there, I think that last lap, when we took the white flag, we were 6th, and it just, I mean, the 44, when he got shuffled out, he was falling back, and I just that shot we had for to get around the 44 right up next to the 2 running in the middle. When we came out of that, we had just so much momentum. If it had been Talladega and the start finish line was a little farther down, I bet you we really would have had a contention for second. I mean, that's how good the car just had that launch there, coming off the 4th turn, coming to the tri-oval. It was a huge launch. But if it was that Talladega where the start finish line was a little farther down, it definitely would have been a top 2 car.
And what's the feeling like? You cross the finish line, 3rd place. I'm sure everybody's going nuts on the radio. You've had success at Daytona, but I remember it, and correct me if I'm wrong, the 5th place finish, it was like you guys had like a 5-car breakaway and you rode to 5th place. This one, you're right in the mix of it.
Yeah. I mean, last year we finished 4th, and it wasn't a big. Sorry, Ellie, stop it. So, last year really wasn't a big. I mean, we weren't just riding. We were started outside, and we were running 4th on the restart, and it was like kind of a green-white checker shootout, and we kind of had I kind of had to try to force my way down because the 1st and 2nd car on the front row were team cars, and I knew they were going to play that team card box me out thing, and I was trying to catch them just a little off, and I didn't. I ended up like crunching my quarter and kind of like gave them a slam, like, you know, playing games. But we had settled for 4th last year, and yeah, I think we've had 4 top 5 finishes now at Daytona, and it's I mean, that's definitely our strong point over at Empire Racing. Okay, I don't know if it's the team strong point as much as it is mine. I'm very good on the super speedways, and the bigger the track, I seem to do better. So, I know in the short tracks I can't. You saw last week, Andy. You can attest for.
And it doesn't get any shorter than S&S speedways. Let me tell you.
And if there's anything that showed you, is I cannot drive a nail into a pile of snow out there on the shore. So.
But why is that? It's not just you. There's a lot of guys, even in NASCAR, that just can't. They just don't. Super speedways, they're awesome, but yet on short tracks like that, they just can't figure it out. Why is that? What do you think your issue is?
I got a lot of issues.
Wow.
That was a statement of the night right there.
Yeah.
I would say it's probably I don't know, just to feel the speed, and if there's one thing that being able to read the way the car drafts in the air, it's just you can kind of feel what the air does with the car a little bit more by moving around, and this right here, this scrubs off so much speed. You really don't even realize how every little movement that you make, the smoother you are, the better you are. And it's just, I think a lot of kids coming in, they watch Days of Thunder too much and see, you know, the Cole Trickle playing like this, and it's not reality. It's the more you can like fingertips super light on the steering wheel, super straight, the less movements, the less jerking back and forth. It's just it's going to be smoother. It's going to be a faster line and all. So I think just the smoother the driver, the better they are on the super speedways. I think where short track, you're a little bit more not jerky. I mean, you still have to be smooth on a short track. But you definitely can maneuver and kick in the car and setting and I mean, with the asphalt cars, you have a lot of rotation that you kind of rely on to set those cars to turn. And it's a different beast. It's a different way. It's apples to kumquats as far as trying to drive one to the other.
So 3rd place at Daytona. What else you got in store for the ARCA car for 2023?
Well, this year we're going to look at the inside the ARCA the season. There's actually another season that's just, they call it the Super Speedway Series. And it does, it's Daytona, Talladega, both Kansas races, Charlotte, Pocono, and Michigan. And it's just a 7-race deal that is part of the full deal. But if you can actually get a championship within the championship just for the Super Speedway Series. So I think we don't have the funding to do a full season, but we're working on some funding now. We're going to hopefully be able to pull off that Super Speedway Series and do the 7 races this year at least. So that's all we're working on. I know.
That's a pretty cool deal too.
Yeah. It's definitely, it's neat. It kind of just gives you something else you can really focus on if
you suck at short tracks.
Yeah, I like me at it.
So Sean, I want to talk a little bit more about you and your career, because I know we got a lot of people on watching and some new faces, maybe just learning about you for the first time with your run at Daytona. Actually, Tom Dembeck messaged me. He wanted me to ask you about the first time you, speaking of another short track, the first time you drove his car at Accord, and I don't think you lifted going into turn 3 or turn 1, I forget, and you put the upper control arm on the valve cover. So let's start there, and then we're going to work our way forward.
Yeah. Actually, that wasn't Accord. I never ran Tommy's car at Accord. I didn't run Accord until like 2011, 2012, somewhere around there. That was the first time I ran Accord. But yeah, Tommy and the Dembeck family, they really kind of helped me dabble into getting into dirt racing, into racing. But yeah, I took Tommy's car and I tried to pull a Ross Chastain before Ross Chain ever. But that there's that gap that that you pull the haulers through at Middletown, and I needed that safer barrier there to block that gap, and it didn't work. But yeah, so I like you said, I literally put the right front tire into the passenger seat on that car, and it's a good you know what, I'm not ready for pro stock kind of moment. So we had after that I had started out in at Middletown in a street stock in a Monte Carlo, and ran that car for a season and a half. May she rest in pieces. And so kind of moved up. I got Rookie of the Year my first year in the street stock division, and ended up just kind of moving up I moved up to pro stock in 2004, and we were runner up in the championship. My first year there, we were Rookie of the Year. We had the following year, expert pro stock, we won the championship at Middletown in pro stocks. And second year, the following year, 06, we were back to runner up again in points. We really had a lot of success running with the pro stocks at Middletown whenever we ran there. And I'm happy the last couple of years they dabbled with having the pro stocks come back. It's always been home for me. So it's definitely cool to be able to bring the car back up every year, for the pro stock back up every year. Because rather than that, she's been living down south for the last few years, and there's a racetrack called With Raceway in Virginia that I've been bringing it to, that has a pro stock division that's actually called Super Streets, And you'd swear you were looking at a pro stock race. And I mean, the biggest difference is they run a lot. Most of the cars run wide fives, but they're just old asphalt late model cars that they put dirt tires on, pop the windshields out, and go racing. So the pro stock's at least having a life down there, kind of cool. So, but this year I think we're going to try to they'll probably run a race or two down there, but I think we're going to try to run a little bit more. I want to get it back up to the valley again. I'm interested to see how that track is since I cut the banking out of it. That looks like it'd be fun, or I don't know. It's a shame losing that banking, but if I
don't mind losing it. I tried to take the wall down.
Now there's less banking though to keep you away from it, though.
I guess we'll find out. But listen, Sean, you've really been a pioneer. I'm say a pioneer, but a stronghold in the pro stocks. Not only big wins. Got one at Eastern States, right? If I remember correctly.
That's the one I never had.
That was it.
Night. I've won the last points night of the season. I've won during the fair week. I've never won in Eastern States. I won at Syracuse in 2008.
I was going to say you got one at the mile.
Yep. And I got the invitational race in 2021 down in Charlotte. But that's the one I do not have on my resume is an Eastern States Pro Stock win. That's honestly, I finished second there in Eastern States, but I never did get an Eastern States win. That's that one's a little not a sore subject, but it's like ooh,
yeah, sorry
a little
about that.
salt in the wound.
Sorry about that. I figured you had one. I remember we drank at the 31st lap for some win, but apparently we drank enough that I forgot what it was all about. So,
Yep.
But listen, a win at Syracuse, a win at
because that might have been it. It might have been a whole nother.
Well, that could be it too.
Yeah.
But a win at Syracuse, a win at Charlotte, maybe someday a win at Eastern States. Now, hey, pro stocks are back, so
True.
you're going to at least get one more crack at it. Hopefully, more. Fingers crossed. But I'm sure we've talked about this, but I don't know if we've ever talked about this in a public forum like this. You being up here, Northeast, prominent race team, which a trans group team was back in that time. You never went dirt modified racing. That was all, the big transition to, big time racing up here is to run the modifieds. But you always stuck with fenders, and I was curious why.
Well, honestly, I really I always loved the whole thought of NASCAR on dirt thing. And when you looked at like when I was younger and I first went to Middletown, you had like Andy Denbeck and the Interstate Batteries 18. I mean, it was a carbon copy of the actual Cup 18 Interstate car that was out running. You had Bill Pasquale in the 3 car. You had, there were so many people that mirrored the Cup car looks, and it was a division that just attracted me so much that way that you could, be a NASCAR on dirt kind of feel to it. So I don't know. I just always, it was very easy to run as far as the division, as far as like maintenance wise. I mean, the parts for the most part, you don't have to. With the modified, you guys spend a lot of money on parts, front axles, shock clips. We just with the pro stocks, you can still get away with going to the junkyard, finding a Camaro subframe, and you got your spindles, you got your lower control arms, you have all those parts that are literally junkyard hopping finding. It's super easy. I've got a pile of old 4.9-inch rear ends here that just the center chunks from the pro stock that I just found in a junkyard, and we re-geared and put spools in, and that's it was just always a very easy to class to be able to do the maintenance on, just because the parts were just so easy, so much easier to come by and than having to buy brand new every time.
Yeah.
Now, I'll ask you the next question. Going ARCA, something that, again, not really normal for somebody up here in the Northeast. I mean, Andy Hillenberg, I think, was the closest, and Bobby Gerhardt, the guys out in Pennsylvania. But again, for somebody in Goshen, New York, ARCA wasn't really a thought. I remember vividly a young lady from both of our past, your few, but never mind, texted me and said, "Hey, Sean bought an ARCA car." I was like, what the hell is he doing with an ARCA car now? Is he going to run it on dirt? And then you go to Pocono and take us through from the beginning of your ARCA career.
Well, I had kind of not that I fell into it, but after we got the Syracuse win, I had a job offer to be a driving instructor for racing school down in North Carolina. And the worst thing they could have done was taken me to the Robert Yates equipment auction. When Robert Yates and Roush had merged, they had a big auction for everything. And I kind of was standing there at the auction looking at the cars going, and they had one car. It was a David Gilliland number 38 M&M's Ford Fusion that had the right side. It just was walled. I mean, the thing was just flat spotted, but the flat sided, and it had brakes. It had the suspension. It had everything less a motor, a trans, and a seat. The fuel cell was in the back. The wiring harness was in it. And I was just like, I'm like looking at the car going, this thing doesn't even have a bent ball joint. It is all cosmetic. And ended up buying the car for $6,000. And we took it back while I was working at school. We had reskinned the right side. We ended up taking it apart. We put we it black, put the yellow stripe down it like how our dirt cars are, and kind of it was just a good way to try, like, all right, you know what, let's see if we can't go from pro stock to full fender. And as far as the reaction of the cars, the pro stocks and the ARCA cars are actually just like the way they kick back, the way they'll unload with the sway bar and all. It's very similar. Well, back when the pro stocks ran sway bars, but it's very similar to the reaction of the ARCA cars. Just the way the handling, the way their cars react and all. So it really wasn't too horrible of a jump to go from the from the pro stock into an ARCA car. Besides a huge speed difference, that you really can't go in, stab the brake, and set an ARCA car. Don't try that. I've tried that. It hurts. Yeah, don't do it. But it just, again, a whole smooth factor. A lot of times, like growing up in Middletown's not a real throw it in track and go sideways with the pro stock. It's like the easier you are on the brake, the softer you are on the steering wheel through 1 and 2, especially. I mean, the more you can hold that traction, hold that side bite longer, you're going to be faster at Middletown in a pro stock. So just being able to transfer that over to the ARCA car was what was probably the biggest thing that would help me with that.
And then after that one run at Pocono, was it like one and done, or you came out of that and said, we're going to make a run at this? Because you ended up making a run at this.
Yeah. I mean, we ran, that was 2008. And then we ran 2 races in 2008. Pocono and, no, that was 2009. Pocono and Chicago. And then 2010, we ended up stumbling across a speedway car, a super speedway car. And, I mean, we were running top 10 with that our first time out. And it was like, we went to Talladega that year and we were running right up in the front, right up top 3, and ended up getting in the big one at Talladega that year and tore the nose off the car. And it was like, okay, we were top 3. Now I have the bug. Now I got to go. We got to get another one of these. We got to get another speedway car. And 2012, we actually got the pole at Daytona, and it was just like, you know what, we can start to build this into something, this team. Let's start to see what we can actually do here. And from there, I mean, we've had a lot of drivers. We've had a lot of people who've gotten a mentor over the years as far as speedway stuff that I never thought I'd have people coming to me to ask me for help as far as being a driver coach for them. Almost, it's kind of a cool feeling to realize that I'm at that point where people actually look up to me. And as far as, well, I've come to realize that as far as the veteran series at Daytona and Talladega, I think I am one of the veterans now. So it's kind of
Isn't
cool.
it funny how we just got old somehow?
It's funny, man. God, that's what a weird feeling to have people go, well, you're one of the veterans now. And I'm like, ooh, I used to be one of the young guns. What the heck happened? So
I ask that question all the time. What the heck happened?
yeah.
Oh, every time I look and I see there's more gray hair.
Well, yeah, I got that problem too.
Yeah. If I let the beard grow out a little too long, it kind of
Yeah.
start to show a little. So yeah, I know you're feeling.
But so, listen, from ARCA, and I remember one year you went full time, right? You ran the whole season, right?
Yeah.
Top.
2011, we ran the full season. We ended up finishing 9th in points. And I mean, that was, again, we're just a small team still. I mean, we're not one of the big manufacturer back teams by any stretch. So we're still one of the independents. And I mean, we were able to run it. I mean, I drove the hauler. We have a 53-foot trailer, and I'm, for the most part, I'm the only full-time guy that has the Class A license to be able to drive the thing. So that 2011 season, I did a lot of the driving cross country with that, and it was a cool experience. It's something that you know I'll never ever regret for sure. It was I mean, rolling over the stuff you hear about in songs, you know, rolling over the prairies and all. It was just a cool experience. It was just I mean, it was just something that was really cool. I'd love to run a full season again for ARCA, but it definitely would be a lot more expensive today than it was 10, 12 years ago when we actually did it. So it's a whole different world now as far as the cost to doing things. But if we can pull off this year to do that super speedway series, at least we'll be in the running for points for something again. It's kind of, I haven't done that in a long time where I've kept track of points like regularly.
Roxy would like to just remind you she also has her Class A. Just
she does.
Throwing that out there.
I know and I know the second that we go to run like Kansas, it's going to be like, let me drive. I got it. I know she's been drooling to drive our, we have an old 2004 Freightliner that I know she's drooling to get behind and drive. So, and I will, honey, if you're listening, yes, you will drive the rig. I promise.
Attaboy. Smart man already.
But keep an eye on social media, because you'll definitely see Roxy getting on the highway for this first jamming through gears. So
now, Sean, besides the ARCA series, you also spent some time in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. Tell us a little bit about that experience. I remember watching you at Talladega, running up front until I think Austin Dillon or Ty Dillon turned you.
Yeah, it was. I mean, again, that's a whole nother level of cost too, and it just kind of that if there's one thing I learned, that as far as my rate of finish, I think I have 2 finishes out of the 8 to 10 races I ran in the truck series. And I was just like, you know what? I do not have, you're definitely waste a lot more equipment here. And they're not just cosmetic, they're total write-offs. So it was kind of like, you know what, we're going to pull back a little bit. I would love to run like that dirt race that went out in Knoxville. That's just, to God, every year I watch that race and that just looks like a blast. So I would love to run that again. Last race I ran in the truck series was actually Eldora. And I mean, we ran, I raced once there, and then the next year we went back, we didn't qualify in for it. We missed it in the heat race. I actually spun out running second in the heat race. And, yeah, I messed myself up. But yeah. I
see, I got the same dog problem though.
Oh,
my little step beagle. That's what I call him. My step dog.
Yeah, I've ignored her so much now. She's just sitting on the floor pouting. So, doesn't matter. But I mean, that was. I'd like to run the trucks again, but it's definitely a whole different cost factor to do the truck series.
Now we've talked about street stocks. We've talked about dirt pro stocks, ARCA cars, trucks. Tell us a little bit about racing school buses at the Orange County Fair Speedway.
Oh yeah, I think didn't you at one point you called me the Brett Hearn of school bus racing?
That's right, you were.
Yeah. So I mean, I still race the same bus I ran for the last. What year is it? 17 years. Yeah, I've had the same. The 1985, and whenever if that's one way, I like, you know how Robin Hood with the archery thing, all they got to do is say school bus racing in Orange County, and I'm like there. So that's I
joked at the beginning of the show. You kind of, the Frank Sinatra song, I Did It My Way. You really have, because you kind of race what you want, where you want, when you want, because, there's a stigma in professional racing. We've been around it long enough that, listen, I'm an ARCA driver. I'm not going to go race an enduro at Bethel Motor Speedway or something like that. You, on the other hand, you have Car 54. Where are you? That freaking police cruiser. You go race school buses. You go down south and race your pro stock. You race your ARCA car. You just race what you want, when you want.
Yeah. Whenever we get free time, I'm like, hey, what's going on this weekend? Is there a thing going at Bethel? They used to do the that icebreaker out at Evergreen Speedway with the V8 cars, and I mean they don't even run V8 enduros anymore. I don't think anywhere really. I think Riverhead, but I've never raced at Riverhead. I got to look up their enduros. I want to do that one day. But yeah, the enduro cars, it's just a fun. It's just I'm not really picky. Whatever we want to race, if we have a free weekend and nothing to do, and I mean, we just fixed the rear axle on that police car. Roxy was supposed to run it last year, and every year we just weather related, and they ended up canning the enduro, or she had a schedule conflict and couldn't make it, and but yeah, we have that enduro car just ready to go. I got to toss a battery back in it, but it's really ready to go wherever we want to go run that thing. It's that's.
Uh-oh.
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
Sorry.
Forgot to charge his battery.
Yeah.
Cut him out quick, but yeah, so that was yeah, just really whatever we want to race, especially the school bus races. If they say that, I gotta go. So
now we've referenced Roxy a couple.
Just like do crazy stuff with buses. So what?
That's true. The monster snowplow.
That is pretty cool, right there.
Which, listen, Gary Predmore Racing, I think, is getting a school bus here pretty soon to bring that street stock out to Middletown. But listen, we've referenced Roxy a couple times. Let's tell the world all about her. Your fiance, and we can say fiance now. How long have you been engaged? I forget.
We actually got engaged back in last year at the motorsports show in Middletown.
That's what it was.
Yeah, so
I knew it was something along those lines.
Yep. So while we were there, and Brett was there. Everybody over at the track. I called ahead like the week before. And hey, listen, is there any way I could have access down on the racetrack? And I think their first thought was I was going to go drive something on the track. And I'm like, you do not have to have an ambulance. You do not have to have.
You might have needed the ambulance if she said no or something.
Yeah, I figured, you know what, that'd be my luck. I put it all together, and she says no, but no, she said yes, and it was really cool. The track really they went over above and beyond. They sat there. I told them what I wanted to do, and I asked them, you wouldn't happen to have the Victory Lane banner trailer that they used to pull up behind the cars, and I was like, I'd love to be able to have that there, and do the whole thing. Oh, I've won a lot of things here, but winning my heart was the best thing that ever happened to me. And so, but that whole cute, cheesy thing. And, but Yeah, so she had no idea. We set that whole thing up with Brett and everybody, and they had the photographer there. They treated it just like it was a Victory Lane event going on. Like, it was really cool. We got down there and I did the whole thing. It was muddy. It had rain, cats and dogs, and I put knee down in the mud. And then the second she went to go give me a kiss, I pulled her into the mud with me. And, we rolled around. It was a blast. It was too funny. So we just
and she's a racer too for everybody out there. She races pro stocks, and we already mentioned that she'll get her hands dirty and work on the race car, helping you fix the car down at Daytona, and got her Class A. So
yeah, she's definitely a keeper. It's my level of craziness. It's awesome. So we're everything like jumping in an enduro car. She wants to drive the enduro car. She's like Jones, and one day she's like, I'm gonna drive that car. So whenever we get to figure out our schedules and we can actually settle on a date for that car, she's gonna jump in it. But we have
Middletown got an enduro this year. I think the same day of a Crane Golf Street Stock Shootout Series. Shameless plug right there. But I forget when though. I think June. Don't hold me to it, Doug. If you're watching, I'm sorry.
Good job, Andy.
Thank you.
Hey, Andy, all you have to do is make sure you show up that day. It sounds like
that's.
You don't need to know. No, you have to show up. But I mean, she's definitely awesome. There's no other way to describe it. She's just perfect. She really is. So she's amazing, and that's how we met. We actually met at the World Short Track Championships at Charlotte. Out of all places, I meet a Canadian pro stock driver at Charlotte Motor Speedway at the dirt track, and we just kind of got talking. We have that Mustang body on our pro stock now, so she was commenting about the pro stock, and we just kind of kept talking, and yeah, she's a racer too. We ended up during COVID, I went and I picked up a race car for her that used to run what is it, the Devil's Bowl up in Vermont. So that's where her car came from, and we kind of had some fun with it. We painted it up like an old the Purelator car, I think, from Days of Thunder, and just kind of made it hers. It looks awesome. She's just she's definitely a raceaholic like me. So
a match made in Victory Lane.
Made in Victory. That is an awesome line. I love that.
Listen, it's not my first rodeo here, kid.
Oh man,
you see all these gray hairs. I've been doing this a little bit.
Oh, hopefully that didn't pop up another one.
Oh, yes. All right, Sean, we're going to let you get out of here. We appreciate you taking the time and chatting with us. We're going to definitely keep an eye on you with that ARCA Speedway series. And, hey, who knows? Maybe we see you racing school buses here somewhere soon.
Oh, yeah. Hey, everybody out there. And, I mean, just everybody out there, if you guys really want to see, I know everybody for the most part's a dirt crowd, except for we got the Bethel crew too. But everybody who wants to see some asphalt racing, some really good, racing with heart out there, come to an ARCA race. We've got Pocono coming up in the end of July, and come out. You guys won't. I think Watkins Glen. I think ARCA's running Watkins Glen this year too.
They are.
So come on, you guys will not be disappointed. It's great racing. It's a great family atmosphere, and it's I really guarantee everybody will love it. So just if you can, come on out. Bring a friend to an ARCA race, and you won't be disappointed. And yeah, everybody, thank you guys. Thanks for having me, Gary, Andy. Thanks for having me on the show. I really, really appreciate it. And anybody who would love to have their name on a car, especially for Pocono, definitely hit us up on Empire Racing Group on Facebook or on my Messenger. We have a lot of panels open, so so everybody that any other questions anybody's forgot to ask, don't be afraid to give me a shout. I'll be happy to answer them.
Cool.
There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, Sean Corr, the ARCA superstar himself, off of his third place.
Only on super speedways.
Well, that's true. Not at S&S Speedway either.
Yeah.
Speedway. Nope. I definitely look like a buffoon there. So.
All right, Sean, we'll catch you down the road.
All right. Thanks.
Bye.
Seriously, again, thanks for having me on, guys. I really appreciate it.
All right. Take care.
All right.
So Sean Corr, ladies and gentlemen.
I remember the first time him and Roxanne were actually on the show is they were picking that car up. They actually did the interview from the car on the phone in the nighttime, in the dark. Yeah, it was dedication.
And it was the first time I met Roxy at that race I put together last month. And she's a racer. She's absolutely the best way to describe her.
She comes from a family too.
Good racing stock.
Yeah.
Yep. We'll get Roxy on here. Maybe when Sean lets her drive the enduro car, we'll bring her back on and just have her talk for a little while. Speaking about Watkins Glen partners, kind of led me to the final segment here, and I know we're getting up against it here, but we'll talk about it a little bit. Kind of big news, kind of local flavor to it. Max McLaughlin going to make his Xfinity debut at Watkins Glen the same weekend that the ARCA cars are racing. So go up and watch an ARCA race and go up and see Mad Max racing. And I was thinking about this a little bit today. Have you ever thought of can you think of anyone, that's what I'm trying to say, who has been as diverse as a race car driver lately as Max McLaughlin? Because that kid has raced wheel and modified tour, dirt modifieds, ran the ARCA, some ARCA stuff, ran the Busch East. I think won a Busch East championship, if I remember correctly, or won a race or one or the other. Something along those lines. But like, he has done so much stuff. Ran the Chili Bowl this year. Yeah. To where I'd love to get Max on, and I've sent messages out to him. We've talked back and forth a little bit. And listen, he's a busy guy. He got a lot going on, right? So he's kind of running things up in the HBR shop up there, working on the race cars. Getting them ready for not only him but for Jimmy Phelps as well. So we're going to get him on eventually. I'm going to force him on the show at some point. But, from ARCA to dirt modifieds to the wheel and modified tour to all this.
Full-blown late model too.
Late model. That's right. He did that for a little bit. I almost, and I could be wrong on it. I think maybe tried to make a snowball derby start at one point. Of course, listen, Dad, great racer in his own right. Magic Shoes Mike McLaughlin comes from the wheel and modified tour, ran some dirt modified races. I get where, kind of following the footsteps, but this is going to be his first crack, we'll say, at the big time at a track that he's won, because I believe he won the ARCA or Busch East or whatever they called it back then, K&N series. I think that was it, K&N series. K&N, yep. At Watkins Glen. But, I'd love to ask him, where is all this going, basically? Because, like I said, he's done all of this. He's gotten all these great opportunities, and he's done well. But it just doesn't seem like he's cracked into that top tier. He might have made a truck start here and there. I think so, possibly, maybe. But, where's it going? I guess is the best. And again, listen, a racer being a racer.
Right, maybe he's just a racer and he's content racing anything and everything he can.
Right, listen, it could be another like Sean Corr thing. I'm going to race what I want, where I want, how I want, when I want. And it could very well be. And I'd love to ask him that question. But saw that today, wanted to bring that up and kind of get your thoughts on it. And, wish the kid well. He seems like a good kid, has definitely a sense of humor. I love the T-shirt he put out a couple of years ago when Matt Shepard came and popped him in the eye. And then made a T-shirt out of it. I thought that was awesome.
Great PR.
Listen, any press is good press, right?
That's right. Shepard does it all the time.
That's it. That's it. So, good for Max McLaughlin. Sean bringing that up. The ARCA race at Watkins Glen made me think about it again. And, we'll get Mad Max on here sooner than later.
Yeah,
hopefully.
I reached out to him before, too. He says it's always so dang busy.
He is. And like I said, add another thing to the list, an Xfinity race at the Watkins Glen International, which I've raced at Watkins Glen. It's a fun racetrack. I ran the boot configuration, the sports car configuration, but the NASCAR configuration, those cars have to fly there. So it'll be fun to watch and see. Maybe he parlays it. Maybe it's his, one of his stepping stones into big racing.
If he even wants to go that route.
Right. Exactly that too.
Dirt. You know what I mean? He's
and listen, you can make a decent living at it. Matt Shepard showed that last year, right?
And that's the thing. Like you can make a decent living doing it. People may not expect that, but you can. And say what you will, it's expensive, but not nearly as expensive as going to, as you heard Sean say, with just racing ARCA. It's just so expensive. Even if you race for somebody, you gotta bring dollars and cents.
Yep. I think the cost per payout ratio is a lot better running a dirt modified or a dirt late model or something. Because look at what Timmy McCready's been doing, the last handful of years. When you're racing for $20,000, $25,000, $50,000, I don't even know if ARCA has a race that pays $50,000. Honestly, I don't even know if Daytona paid $50,000 to win. And I'm sure it was expensive as all heck. Just that body repair Sean had, that bill he got, probably give me a heart attack, put me into early retirement.
That's what I'm saying.
It's one of those deals. Well, partner, this dog got to go out and do his business. And before I got to clean up a bigger mess, we're going to go ahead and cap it. Like I said, we got a lot of irons in the fire the next couple of weeks, a lot of racing going on. We're tracking some guys down, talked to a handful of short track Super Series guys that they're willing to come on after Hagerstown. They're getting ready to get going. Hopefully, Mother Nature plays nice this weekend. Also the NHRA stuff we got coming up too. So stay tuned to the happy hour. We appreciate everybody for sticking around. Thank you, Sean Corr, for jumping on with us. And listen, Sean talked for a good, 50 minutes? I remember the first race he won, I had to stick my head into the race car and say, all right, calm down. Think about what you're going to say, just so he could string a couple sentences together. So he's wised in his old age, us together. So, yeah. So again, thank you, everybody. Garrett, partner, awesome as always. And we'll see everybody next week.
That's it, man. Take care.